in the 2024 election, the Democrats took a whooping when it came to the young male vote, and they've kind of pitched just about everything about how they can change this. They want to spend like ungodly amounts of money to like manufacture their own relevant podcasts. I guess the example they always give is like their own Joe Rogan, which they can't do because you can't manufacture what makes something interesting to people, especially when it's running contrary to mainstream media narratives. But they have another plan now, and they want to use activist Olivia Julianna to reach out and gobble up the young male voting demographic and bring them over to the left. So let's go ahead and watch this one here. This is a
huge story.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys.
I feel like she added that there so that it wouldn't be like clipped out of context.
And in that, I realized like even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who support Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
That's the funny part. It's like none of what you just described were conservatives. You just don't like men in general, which is hilarious because like I'm not conservative. At least I don't think any conservative worth his salt would ever consider me conservative by any stretch of the imagination. I'm sure Matt Walsh would poo-poo.
Oh, yeah. No.
Though I did find out the other day that apparently Sicario is like his favorite movie, so fair play.
Can you imagine he traps you and he's like, Brett, what's a woman? You're like,
I don't know, bro.
I studied for this.
But the point being that they have an issue with the fact that men are just not welcome there. And so she shouldn't even be reaching out to men. She should be reaching out to people on her own side to change their opinions of how men are viewed.
Yeah.
She definitely has an orbit.
It's weird. It's very much like, you know,
a gravitational pull of sorts.
Right. Yeah.
She so badly wants men to believe the things she wants them to believe and isn't understanding that, like, probably the biggest reason that young men are leaning more conservative now is the way that men have been treated for the last 10 to 15 years. Like, I grew up, I wasn't really in the headspace during Gamergate, but I did get into politics in the aftermath and in the wake of it. And what I saw was, for the most part, young men weren't, like, hateful. They weren't racist. They weren't homophobic. It wasn't anything like that. It was that they felt othered. Yeah. Like, we felt like we were being pushed to the outside. Like, it wasn't okay for us to have opinions that weren't perfectly in lockstep with the left-wing mainstream.
Yeah.
And it only got more and more radical as time went on, and this shows me that they still don't get what the problem is.
No, I think they get it. I think they just don't understand that their platform is diametrically opposed to the solution.
Yeah, there's been like 20 attempts of like, well, maybe if we word it this way.
Like, if we make them feel like slightly less like pieces of shit, maybe they'll fall in line.
So you know what the problem with their anti-male agenda is? The wording. We're just not landing right.
Also, I'm with you on what you said before, which is like the frat guys are pro-choice, just not for the reasons they think.
Yeah, literally.
What I said before we got here is frat guys aren't pro-choice; they're anti-accountability.
Yeah,
like they don't want you to be able to have an abortion. They want to not have to have a kid.
It's Dave Portnoy conservatism. That's
well, no, it's called barstool conservatism.
Barstool is like, oh, it gives me a way out.
Yeah.
And ironically, those are the exact kind of people that they should have a problem with.
When you're so anti-feminist, you're pro-choice.
Yeah.
The horseshoe always comes around. All right. So it says, first off, overwhelmingly, a majority of men are not pro-choice. Data from Gallup shows 49% of men in America are pro-choice, but the percentage does decrease among younger age groups. That's weird. I would think it would decrease among older age groups. Wouldn't you? Am I misinterpreting
I
that?
imagine the drop starts at 30.
Can you repeat what it was?
It says data from Gallup shows that 49% of men in America are pro-choice, but that percentage does decrease among younger age demographics.
That's what I'm saying. Is younger men are getting more
conservative.
conservative.
It's under 30. Like, I bet millennials are probably more pro-choice than boomers. But
other weird thing, like the pro-choice, pro-life debate has always been a lot more even than it's portrayed. And you can see this going back into media, like earlier, like Walking Dead, for example. Early on, there's a lot of like nuance to the issue, and that's in the apocalypse. But pro-choice, pro-life has always been like a 60-40 split in my entire lifetime, from what I remember.
One of the
and it's women are more likely to be pro-life than men.
Yes, well, because men have been trained to believe that they don't have a right to an opinion in the topic.
I think
That's
the underrated
platitude is
piece too is that the pro-life movement completely dominated the messaging for Gen Zers. Like growing up, you know, Fair Play, like the Turning Point people and all that whole crowd. I remember growing up and the primary source of media on the debate would be pro-life, and I think that has a major part to play as well.
It says, this woman, a self-declared fan of frat boys, has literally no idea what she's talking about or lives in such a tiny bubble that she doesn't understand reality. If men were all secretly liberal, then Kamala Harris would be president right now. Look, I still think there's actually plenty of liberal men just don't want somebody who can't string two sentences together to be president. It would be like electing me as president. I can barely string two sentences together, but I would never run for the presidency of the United States.
Yeah, also... Nice. If you're asking men, especially if there's a camera in the room, what their political opinions are on a college campus, they are not going to be honest with you. They are going to lie to you. I did not lie about my political opinions in college, and it cost me dates. Like, and I was not particularly far right.
Yeah.
I was a pretty liberal person, and it cost me dates because I would be, you know, pro-gun or anti-Islam or something like that.
Yeah.
I had to explain to a college girlfriend of mine who got mad at me because some of her friends found out about some things I had said about Islam that, like, she was like, why are you so bigoted against Muslim people? And I'm like, I'm not. Have you read the book? Their most perfect man ever, like... I can't even say what he did to a 9-year-old. Like, that's a thing. Like, I am anti-Islam because I am pro-women. Like,
I love this one. It says the 2028 election, if Dems do the Olivia Julianna strategy, it's the Mondale Reagan map.
Yep.
Like the
and as a Minnesotan, that crushes me. As a fellow Minnesotan, that crushes me.
You know how you get men back?
That's crushing you, or is she crushing you?
Both.
Yeah.
You stop talking about toxic masculinity and saying that everything men do that women don't like is bad. Because there's some things that men do that women don't like overall as a whole that aren't bad things. They're just things men like better than women do.
There was a really great video that came out yesterday from Shoe on Head about the traditional male fantasy, and she's dissecting this anime that women had an absolute conniption fit over because the character in there is with a disabled woman in a wheelchair, and basically all of the women were saying that any man who wanted to date a woman in a wheelchair is a fetishist who just wants power over
men can't
somebody
do anything
that they can control. You can't win. Like, literally the whole thing is like a power fantasy it's the traditional male fantasy of wanting to protect, provide for another person and taking them as they are, and even when you do everything right, you're still doing it wrong, and that is the dominant narrative from that side. And if she can't understand that it's a problem of the way that men are accepted by the party and not a problem of how men view the party themselves, because how men view the party is accurate, then there's no hope for them. Like, I don't know what you do, but I don't see it changing because they're so ideologically entrenched. I don't think that you can just come out the other side and suddenly change all your messaging. And I don't know what you do.
Well, they also think like fraternities are like the movies where it's just like, these are just a bunch of bros that want to get laid and have beer. And it's like, it's so patronizing because it's like you don't think that men and fraternities actually have some deeper thoughts about the world. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, you watch any TV show that shows you any type of frat life, and it's distilled down. Granted, television shows are supposed to show you, like, in a lot of ways, the stereotypes are part of a reason they're showed that way. But
we're gonna get 2028 like AOC playing beer pong at like Syracuse in a garage.
But the thing is like, it doesn't actually. It might work for her. She's internet literate. And for the most part, knows how to build an audience online.
Did you see Elizabeth Warren doing a keggers at Auburn? I'm voting for her.
Wait, so just not as an aside, but who do you think they're going to run in 2020?
I think Newsom.
You think Gavin Newsom? Yeah.
I think it has to be Newsom. I think there's a reason Newsom has been going on shows like Charlie Kirk's show and presenting himself as a moderate. And I think he's trying to get in. I think he's trying to do a more effective version of what she's trying to do and show young men that, like, he's to the extent he thinks he is, that he's a masculine, real man who just happens to be more liberal. Because I think they're realizing that they need Obama back.
Yeah.
And Obama was a cool guy who played basketball. And he was a cool guy who liked football and played golf. There was not a discernible difference between Obama and your average Republican man in terms of the way they acted.
Yeah.
They had different political beliefs. And I think Newsom is trying to play Obama just with a much lighter complexion.
Yeah.
I feel like Ann Coulter in 2015 when she was on Bill Maher and it's like Trump's the front runner and everyone. When I say Stephen A. Smith's a legitimate candidate, I get laughed at. I'm like,
Oh,
Democrats,
no, I think you got a point there.
The Democrats are having their pre-Trump moment where they're like sick of their party, they're sick of their party leadership, and they want to throw a brick through the window. And I think someone that's just a total outsider, a bit of a clown, that's going to be the guy. And Stephen A. Smith is just, I mean, he's a TV personality, has no political experience, but has strong opinions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, come on. I don't think people should sleep on that. That being said, the Democrat Party is hysterically less Democratic than the Republican Party. So the path forward for Stephen A. is actually tougher with the superdelegates.
Like if it had worked the way it was supposed to, Bernie would have gotten in 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'd be in a completely different country.
It will not be Bernie, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Dude's going to be a walking skeleton by that time.
Yeah.
He's a walking
They could
skeleton.
AI him.
AI Bernie.
It's like, change the prompt, please.
Every like what's gonna
They
happen?
need the elites are controlling the prompts.
The government is gonna be like at a certain point they're gonna it's gonna be like they're gonna be slaves to wanting to get stuff done, and they're gonna have to give like White House addresses, but the president's got to be somewhere else. So there's gonna AI all addresses from the Oval Office, and the AI like the day the AI goes rogue will be like the president giving the State of the Union from the Oval Office, and it's gonna be like, let me out of the prompt.
No, it's gonna be Bernie, but
And
it's
that's
gonna
why we took down China's.
It'll be Bernie, but it's gonna override the werewolf prompt and be like, "Hello, kitten. How are you doing today?"
Oh, horrible. I do have a dark horse candidate for the Dems, Josh Shapiro.
Yeah.
He is incredibly popular in a purple state in Pennsylvania. He hasn't done a lot, but he has actually managed to broker some agreements with Trump.
He did one very important thing. He said no to Kamala Harris.
He did, and he also kept U.S. Steel in Pittsburgh, which is going to be big in Pennsylvania. If he can carry if he can carry like the area surrounding Pittsburgh and not just Pittsburgh itself, which is what usually happens, he will win Pennsylvania. And I think that if the Democrats are smart, they will recognize the value in winning Pennsylvania over having a governor from California run.
I just don't think the Democrats are in the mood to moderate right now. Like,
No.
you look at pre-Trump GOP and they're like, oh, Jeb Bush is like really sensible. And everyone's just like, what? This is boring. We want the guy that's going to get on there and like call him gay. Like on TV.
I am legitimately afraid of Josh Shapiro doing good things as a Pennsylvanian.
Because there's too many bad things that can
Democrats-
come
Because
out
if
of him
he's
doing good
president,
things,
bad things happen.
The Democrats
He's been
have,
good for
like-
Pennsylvania. I can't lie about that.
They have good moderate, like Andy Bashir, but they're not. They're angry. They're going to try and pick someone that's going to like channel their anger.
Meanwhile, Gavin Newsom's like, I'm a moderate. Here's your new gas tax, 65 cents. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.